Welcome to my nightmare.
What's up, my fellow spooky folks? I'm your host, Trey Ryan, and welcome back to Man of Horror, my horror power where I talk all things scary. Now, today, Man of Horror is going to get on a little goofy side. If you know me, I am pretty fucking goofy, so totally makes sense. We're heading into animal attack territory, which in horror leans more towards the comedic side. Now, that isn't to say there aren't some straight up horror animal attack films that are just like scary as fuck, but you get it, right? So, I'm sharing my top 10 animal attack horror films, and then I'm going to review and rate the film Cocaine Bear. It's going to be a good time, so let's go ahead and dive right in.
No. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
And 10th place, Sharknado. And this actually goes for the entire franchise. It's one of the goofiest comedy horror franchises I've ever come across. It's exactly what it sounds like, right? A tornado full of fucking sharks. And it's insanely bad, right? Like it's not by any means a good film, any of them, but it's those kind of films that are so bad they're good, and it's honestly addicting. That's why there's like 7 of them. You know, every film there's more and more cameos, and it grew a huge following. It's fun as hell to watch. I remember I spent an entire day just watching all of them, and then like once it's like they get more and more absurd with each film, but it makes it watchable, you know? From time travel and like literal clones and traveling fucking Sharknadoes from California to New York to like Washington. It's just it's outrageous. It's genuinely outrageous. But the series has a bit of everything, and once you watch the first one, you kind of can't help but to want to see the rest. I'll say if you like a little horror comedy and some fucking like B-movie horror, go ahead and give this one a watch. And 9th place, Eight-Legged Freaks. Whew, this one fucked me up as a kid. Like, I had arachnophobia pretty bad. I have it a little bit still, you know, not as bad. I'm an adult, I guess, you know, and not to say that adults won't be or shouldn't be afraid of spiders, but it's just like I guess overall I've just grown older to like not be so fucking freaked out. And I think it's more so me being spiritual and knowing what spiders represent. But never the fucking less, if I see a giant spider, it's fucking over. I'm dying. I'm dead. Kill me. Um Anyway, so if you haven't seen Eight-Legged Freaks, it's a movie about a small town that's I believe is in Arizona, somewhere in that area. That does it's I'm pretty fucking sure it's Arizona. Like I'm picturing it in my head, and it makes all the sense. But um, ultimately, there's some spiders who get exposed to toxic waste in a mine, and they just grow fucking huge. When I tell you, as a kid, I like lost my shit at this movie, seeing the spiders up close. Like at regular size, they're already scary, but giant. Like I said, I literally pass out. Kill me. But yeah, it's a fun film, and it's one of Scarlett Johansson's first, if not her very first. I don't fully recall, but worth a watch if you like goofy insect horror. It's mostly comedic, but again, giant fucking spiders, so terrifying too. In 8th place, Snakes on a Plane. And it's exactly what it sounds like. And side note too, that's what I love about animal attack horror films. There's no pretenses. You don't have to kind of figure out what the fuck it's about. They're straight up. Like Cocaine Bear, Snakes on a Plane, Sharknado. Like they tell you what the fuck they're about. But again, this one is literally snakes on a plane, right? I remember when it first came out too, there was like this weird like people were kind of talking shit for whatever reason. And I guess because the name is hilarious, but it's actually a pretty decent plot. You know, there's like a Chinese gang who basically puts a bunch of exotic not venomous, sorry, venomous snakes on a plane to kill a man who's supposed to be a witness on, the stand or whatever in some case going to America to testify. And Samuel Jackson is kind of there to protect him, and he has one of the best lines in an animal attack horror film like ever. Enough is enough. I have had it with these motherfucking snakes on this motherfucking plane. Um, and if you never quoted that shit or no one ever quoted it to you, then like you had to live under a rock. Because I swear to God, when that shit came out, that was everywhere. But aside from that, again, if you like snake horror, um, snake attack, animal, attack films, whatever the case may be, then this is definitely the one that you want to check out. In the seventh place, Arachnophobia, another spider horror film that fucked me up. I don't know why there are spider horror animal attack films in the world. They shouldn't exist, but they do, and here we are. And like I said, okay, the idea of spiders, like, all right, they're spiritually a really good sign, like actually, but in real life, it fuck that. And the crazy thing is they don't tend to fuck with you, but it's just them existing in the same room as me. Sometimes it's enough for me to just kind of freak the fuck out. Um, this movie is, I'll say, it's like a freaks. It's a good mix of horror and comedy, and it just makes your skin crawl. And I swear, like I only watched it twice as a kid, but that was enough to, like I said, fuck me up. And actually, now that I think about it, I think I need to check it out now that I'm older and slightly like less affected by spiders. I don't know. Either way, it's definitely a classic. If you have not seen that one, I won't hold it against you, but go ahead and check it out. In the sixth place, The Shallows, starring the lovely, lovely, lovely Blake Lively. I fucking love her. But less about her, more about the film. It's a standard shark film with a few surprises. Her character is basically trapped at sea with some killer sharks waiting to eat her ass, and there's just like some genuinely heart pounding scenes in this. And while I'm biased, because again, love me some Blake Lively, you you do cheer for her character. Her character is likable. She pulls you in, and you want her to survive. And there's like several scenes that I think this movie did really well where she's close to being saved or surviving. And then the sharks or something happens and it's just like, up, back to the fucking drawing board. Like it's so intense. It's yeah. Worth the watch. Definitely a fun journey. Go ahead and check that one out as well. In fifth place, Anaconda's Hunt for the Blood Orchid. Now while the first Anaconda wasn't the best, right? More so a cult classic. This one I think was actually pretty good. I personally enjoyed it. The idea of a giant snake, first of all, is fucked up enough. And like this ain't even like regular giant. Like this is like giant fucking snake, right? And it's terrifying. Like there's a scene when the crew or whatever, they're walking through water and the snake is in the water with them, and they do this like cool aerial shot to where like you just see it slithering between them and they're just trying to walk all careful and shit. And yeah, it has you on your toes. That's like one of my favorite scenes in I think an animal attack horror film. Overall, definitely better than the first one if you've seen that one, so deserve a watch. In a fourth place, Deep Blue Motherfucking Sea, another shark classic and another Samuel Jackson classic. I think, now that I'm thinking about it, he does animal attack films pretty good, right? Like, this is two classics, and I'm pretty sure he has more, but I'll think about that later. Today, we're talking about this. And what I loved about this film was it wasn't the standard shark attack film, right? On principle, sharks are smart in general. And in this film, the scientists made the sharks smarter for whatever dumb fucking reason. I don't fully remember. It was some, studying shit or whatever, something scientific, I'm sure. But sure, let's make, killer fucking whales or killer goddamn sharks way smarter. Terrible fucking idea. Anyway, again, that making them smart contributed to their attack and the, later pursuit of the crew members. And this is another one that has like a really good Samuel Jackson scene. His death scene, like if you haven't seen this, I'm going to spoil it for you. I'm fucking sorry, but you need to see it, and you're terrible if you haven't, because it came out in 1999, so you fucking suck. But it's right before he like gets chomped in fucking half by a shark. He's like having this big monologue, telling everybody, enough, we are not gonna fight anymore, and tells his story about survival and rallying everybody together, and they believe him. And then right at the end, the shark just dives out of the water, chomp, and pulls his ass down into the water. And it was just like, oh shit, like that scene still fucks me up, like to this day. Wild. In third place, Crawl. This is an alligator horror film that I've mentioned before on the pod because of his final girl, Haley Keller. I don't believe this is the first alligator animal attack horror film, but it's for damn sure one of the best, like if not the best. The relentlessness of the alligators in this is just it's sheer terror. Like it's heart pounding, and I was already like not necessarily afraid of alligators, but I don't fuck with alligators. Like not afraid in a sense of like arachnophobia, afraid like how with spiders. But like I'm not about to just go pet a fucking alligator or go anywhere where alligators are just roaming fucking free or anything. Like I don't necessarily fuck with them like that. But after seeing this movie, I really don't fuck with them. Like fuck that. And I've discussed it before again, like I said, but there's a scene where they are in like this crawl space of the house, and there's like 3 alligators down there, and they fuck this girl up. And like, it still shocks me that she's a final girl after the way that like this scene goes. But if you haven't seen it, just it's totally fucking worth the watch. Please check it out. In second place, we have Cujo, the ultimate killer fucking dog. This film is why I don't play with dogs. Like, animals tend to like me, right? Which is a good sign. But listen, I don't give a fuck about that he don't bite shit, because fuck that. Like, okay, so granted, the dog in Cujo, 1 is a big ass Saint Bernard, and 2, the dog had rabies, so not the same as a regular dog. But still, fuck that. Like, this movie introduced many people like myself to the effects of rabies. The foaming at the mouth, the rabbit craziness. Like, it's insane. And I just don't have time to be getting ate the fuck up or attacked by a goddamn dog. No time for it. And it's terrifying to be attacked by any animal, but it's like a dog, 1, but 2, one that you know and love. Like, I can't even imagine. And that is definitely, just thinking about it as I said that's so in Stephen King's like writing style and realm that is like that's ridiculous. But if you haven't seen Cujo, total classic. I won't hold it against you because I feel like for whatever reason Cujo doesn't get the praise it deserves. I don't know if I want to say praise per se, but the attention, maybe. I don't know. Either way, I won't hold it against you. Now, in first place, the OG animal attack horror comedy film, Jaws. And this one has the least amount of comedy, I think, in the Jaws franchise, but still horror comedy, right? The classic shark horror film, and I'm pretty sure the first, maybe not, I could be wrong with that one, do not quote me, but when I think about it, the words, "we're gonna need a bigger boat," comes to mind. And that dumbass mayor who decided to keep the beach open for no other reason than capitalism. And like the thing is, like in films like this, I think they show humanity so perfectly, or at least the dark sides of it, because I think that is exactly what would happen. Some dumbass mayor would be aware of the danger and just keep the beach open to make money. So, in that respect, Jaws is very real. um, I think this again is just, classic shark attack film. The shark, aka Jaws themselves, inspired like a lot of shark films after this, and just the way Jaws was written, and I think like as I'm thinking about it too, that's why I'm kind of like pausing a little bit because I'm remembering. I'm pretty sure this is like the first official summer blockbuster, like one of those first like big hit films. But it did its job. You know, I don't think people were necessarily afraid or thinking about sharks before this film, and then after this, it was like, well, shit, watch out, you know. um, but it has a little bit of everything, and I think the opening scene in this one is so classic. It's one of my favorites. If you haven't seen this one, I'm gonna go ahead and shame you, dog. You're pretty terrible.
Shame.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
All right. So that was my top 10 animal attack horror films. Now let's go ahead and get into my review and rating of Cocaine Bear. Okay, so Cocaine Bear, right? I remember when I first heard the title, I was just like, okay, really Hollywood? Like, really? But titles like, you know, covers and books and everything else can be deceiving. I looked it up, and first off, this is based on a true story. Like, not all the specifics, you know, the exact attacks and the way everything happened, but there was a bear in the 80s who died from fucking. And that's one thing that they, spoiler alert, did change in here too, that I'm just thinking about as well. That at the end, the bear doesn't die. Um, the bear is just kind of like left alone with its cocaine. But anyway. um yeah, you know, there was like a drug dealer who like dropped fucking like I don't know, uh I'm just spitballing a number, you know, $1 million worth of coke out in a goddamn forest, and a bear came across it and ate that shit up. And I guess the real story is, you know, the bear died like high as shit, and the bear in this movie, you know, again they took that and kind of ran with it, but the bear in this movie is pretty fucking high. Like I can imagine that like some parts are really exaggerated again because it's an animal attack horror comedy thing. So but there are some moments that I would imagine really could have possibly happened. um but yeah, so like in this film, the bear is high as fuck, y'all. Like no, like it is high as fuck, and there's a part, right? And it's in the trailer too, but it's like a chase scene. And that shit is heart pounding because and I never like seen a bear like this. So I think that's also why this movie did work the way it does because and I could be wrong on this one, and I've said it in other parts of this episode, but I'm pretty sure this is like the first like no, you know what? I know I'm wrong. It's not the first bear attack film because I just thought about. I just saw one the other day scrolling on Shutter, so I'm totally wrong there. But I don't know. It was just the first time I saw it, and it just worked. Like the way that this bear is like covered in blood, high as shit, just like raging towards these people is just like terrifying. Like I'm able to put myself in those spots in a lot of films. That's why like certain films like work for me and some films don't. Cause like when I'm in like I just picture myself in it. I'm just like, okay, this is fucking dumb. This wouldn't happen to me. And the other moments it's like, oh shit, if this happened to me, I would die. Like, and this is one of those moments I was watching and I'm like, oh, I might die because what the fuck is this, right? Um Carrie Russell is in it, and it's so cool to see her just acting again. I think Carrie Russell is a great actress. She was super, super good in The Americans, and you know, obviously, fucking Miss Felicity herself. So, cool to see her again. Now, I want to say there's two scenes that are my favorites. One of them is there's these kids, and they find like a brick or whatever, right? And they do what kids do. You know, one of them is talking shit like, "Oh yeah, I do cocaine all the time," and I'm just like, "What is this?" Because they're like fucking like 10-year-olds, and so it's like, bro, you don't do coke. But then again, you know, Drew Barrymore, I remember she mentioned being an alcoholic at like 12. You know, things do happen. So maybe he was on coke at 10, but whatever. So they decide the one kid is like, oh, we'll prove it, and so they like open it up with a butter knife and they scoop some coke onto it and they like eat it, and it's like it's so terrible. I can just imagine it just being like chalky on there, like I don't know, but it was pretty funny. It's a funny scene. Um, my other favorite, and I mentioned it again, but it's just a really good, well done scene. Where the paramedics come and they just like see blood everywhere, and they see this big, fucking bloody, crazy looking ass bear, and he just chases after their ass. And I think what gets me is that they drive off, and the bear is still on their head. Like, I remember there's this TikTok video I saw of a guy in the forest who was on a bike, and the bear started chasing him on the bike, and he like eventually said, "Okay, fuck this bike," and tossed the bike and hid behind a tree or whatever. But it's like, that's a bike, not a whole ass truck, not a whole ass ambulance. Like, and so for the bear to be chasing the ambulance like that, it was just so like fucked. It was a fucked up scene. But outside of that, there's a lot of like unbear related scenes that are pretty fun, pretty funny, that are enjoyable in this movie as well. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. One for watchability. It's totally watchable. All the characters have interesting stories in a way, for it to be like, because it only spans like about a day, but we learn about our characters a lot within that day. So I think the characters are written really well. Story creativity, because again, it's based on a true story, but they took that true story and kind of ran with it and embellished on it, and I think it was done in a pretty fun and creative way. The last one I want to go ahead and give it is gore. This bear was fucking people up. There's not too many kills actually, but for the moments that do happen, that bear was fucking people up. Like, yeah, bear went to fucking town. And it's totally worth a watch if you want to see some high ass bear on cocaine just fucking people up, then this is the film for you. Never thought I would have said that. Side note too, I'm so angry because there's like apparently gonna be like another film, I think like Cocaine Shark or some shit. Like there's gonna be like a whole coked up animal fucking universe or something. Like, Hollywood is so fucking predictable. Jesus Christ. Everybody wants to have a shared universe now. Some of them work, some of them are just, I'm just like, okay, seriously. Like,
I'm not even gonna swat that fly. I hope they are watching. They'll see. They'll see and they'll know. And they'll say, why, she wouldn't even harm a fly.
thanks so much for listening, guys. I love you guys as always. Don't forget to follow the official Instagram page for the pod, Man of Horror _podcast. And until next time, stay spooky, folks. Peace.